Welcome back to Chaotic and Witchy. Today we're going to explore what tarot and the oracle cards have to say about your natural spiritual gifts, abilities, and talents. Thank you so much for joining me. Please meditate upon the pile you wish to select. Pile 1 is the pile with the citrine, pile 2 is the pile with rose quartz, and pile 3 is the pile with the amethyst. Please make your selection and I will see you in a little bit. Welcome to your reading, pile 1. You chose the citrine. This is a very beautiful crystal. It's a crystal that is used to encourage ideas, stimulate your creativity, attract abundance. It is a crystal that is supposed to repel negative energy and help push positive energy into your life. And it's quite wonderful. And I do think that this is a special one to have. I definitely love the citrine. I'm obsessed with the citrine, and I do believe that it has those properties. So it's a really quite lovely crystal if you are interested in crystals or using crystals. So let's get into your reading. Today's question is, what are your natural gifts and abilities? What are some of your spiritual talents that you may know you have? You might not even know you have these talents. That's what we're going to explore a little bit today. I'm going to move these cards out of the way for now and just look at the tarot. So the first card I have for you is the Four of Pentacles. Now the Four of Pentacles is a card that to me speaks about conserving your financial resources, about being very careful and very diligent with your financial resources, especially when it's in the upright position. And sometimes this can be a burdensome thing. It could be something that is difficult. You might be saving money, or you're very thoughtful about money because it comes from a place of lack, or it comes from a place of concern, but you do have that conservative energy about you. The next card I have is the Ten of Pentacles. So the Ten of Pentacles is all about financial stability. It's all about generational growth, abundance, and having that which you need, having and not missing anything. It's about having a stable community, having your finances together. It is a card that speaks to having abundance and having the resources to accomplish what you need and not having to worry. And the next card I have is the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so we have 3 Pentacle cards in a row, and I'm just going to come out outright and say it. I think your spiritual gift and talent is that you're a very powerful manifester. I feel that you are someone who, if you haven't already, when you do start to manifest, when you do start to let go of that place of lack, that conservatism, and start to feel as though you act as if all of your blessings, all of that abundance is going to come flowing in, and it's going to be quite an effortless exercise for you because it is your spiritual gift. The Queen of Pentacles also represents a woman who's very nurturing. It can be representative of a single mother, but ultimately the Queen of Pentacles is someone that gives, is charitable, is stable, is financially stable. And I think that, quite simply, you are a very powerful manifester. You are someone who can bring your ideas that are in your head outward. And that's what the law of attraction is. It's taking that which is inside of us and making it part of our external surrounding environment. And I do believe that for you. So the next card you have is the Nine of Pentacles. Very much the same energy. This is an energy of abundance. This is an energy of growth. You have all of this lush foliage in your cards. The other thing that I'm hearing is you might be someone that's very good with plants. You might be someone who's naturally drawn to botany, biology. Perhaps you're into insects. You have a very deep connection to the natural surrounding world. And you know how some people just aren't good with plants? They kill them? That's not you. And I know you might, perhaps that's not obvious to you already. Perhaps there's a bit of a learning curve. You have a knack for the natural physical environment, and that is part of your spiritual gift because it doesn't come easy to everyone. The natural environment doesn't come easy. It does, taking care of plants isn't an easy task. you know, I'm hearing the word garden. I think that you have a beautiful garden in your home, or you desire for a house so that you can have a beautiful garden. I think you're someone who grows their own food or tries to grow their own food, and it is easy for you and you're quite skilled at it. Then the other card I have for you is the Ace of Wands. Now I want you to take a close look at this card because I think it really depicts what I've been saying. You have a skull, and bursting out of the skull is all of this beautiful red, foliage. And I think that confirms to me that you're a natural manifester. And it confirms to me that you have this innate attraction and tactile expertise when it comes to the natural physical world. Again, there are a lot of insects in these cards. I don't think you're someone who's afraid of insects. I think you're curious and fascinated by them. I think you're someone who is very kind to insects. There are some people who will step on a bug or get their boyfriend or girlfriend to kill the bug. I think you're someone who doesn't do that. You don't like that. You are fascinated by them. You are the person to put that insect in a glass and take it outside. You have a very deep and intimate connection to the natural surrounding world. And it's very, very clear to me from these cards that I have for you today. I think, and like I said already, if you have not yet started practicing the law of attraction, you most certainly should. This is a natural gift for you. Now, I have some oracle cards for you. So the first oracle card I have for you is this one. Now, I read the backstory to this card. This individual, Marguerite, lived in the Middle Ages. And again, you do not have to be Christian. You do not have to be someone who believes in Christianity to appreciate these oracle cards or to have some divine message that comes out of these oracle cards. So this is from the Divine Feminine Oracle deck. And Marguerite was someone who was, number one, a visionary. She had visions. You might be someone who is very psychically in tuned. You might have gut feelings about certain people, places. You might have visions that come into you. The other interesting part of this card is it says, love is divine and I am nothing except for love. Now, Marguerite was someone who was burned at the stake for daring to say that God is love and love is God, which was a very controversial heretic idea back in the day. She was someone who stood firmly about it. She stood behind it. This was what she believed in. I think that your spiritual gift is number one. I think you have the ability to take old ways of thinking and re-envision them in a new way. You have this innate ability to re-envision and reconceptualize things that are stale from a place of love. So that might not make a lot of sense to you, but for example, old institutions, old systemic establishments that are no longer serving, you're going to be the person to re-envision that. So she re-envisioned God not as an authoritative figure, not as someone who is going to flood and destroy. And you know, I'm thinking Old Testament God, someone who's a little bit more wrathful, impatient. She said God is love. And to her, what that meant is that is an idea that is worth sacrificing myself for, worth dying for, because that is my truth. And I believe that you're going to become someone who is inherently able to reimagine old, stale, dated ideas and to fiercely defend them, because you know that they are your visions, that they are true to you, that these are very powerful things that will reshape the world and change the world, even if it comes at a harm and a cost to you. You're not afraid. I'm hearing that you're very fearless, even in the face of something that could be damning or damaging to you. You're going to stand up to those ideas. The other card I have for you is this gorgeous card, the White Buffalo Calf Woman. Now this comes with a very fascinating story. The story goes is once upon a time the Lakota people were suffering from famine, and it was a very bad time. And what happened is the chief of the Lakota people sent 2 scouts to look for food. And on their journey, they saw this beautiful woman One of the scouts was consumed with lust and wanted to make her his wife. And so he approached her. The other scout felt as though she was supernatural, and he felt that she was divine. And he didn't want to approach her with lustful thoughts. And this other scout had very pure thoughts. And what happened is when one of the scout that had the lustful thoughts approached her, is that she charred him. She turned him into nothing but a pile of bones. And to the other scout who had the faith and saw her for someone who's supernatural, she said to him, she introduced herself as a spiritual being, as a divine being, and said to him, if you go back to your people and you do as I say, your times of difficulty will be over. And that is precisely what the scout did, and that is precisely what happened. And I think what this card really says to me is, number one, I feel like the white buffalo calf woman, the prophetess of the sacred way. I feel that you're someone who can sense, you have gut feelings about people, and you have gut feelings about their intentions. And that's another gift that you have. You know when someone is a little bit peculiar. You know when somebody has bad intentions in their heart. You know, you have a very strong gut feeling. And what I'm hearing is that you have to follow that gut feeling. Do not ignore that gut feeling. If there is something about someone that is off-putting, that is dark, that is unpleasant, and you can't put your finger on it, but you just feel it, listen to that gut feeling always, because that gut feeling is mostly, if not all the time, right? And it's much more important to remove yourself from a potentially bad situation than get into a bad place or get hurt or get harmed. So that's one thing that I'm hearing for you, pile number one. The other thing that I'm hearing for you is that you have conversations, you have this innate way of connecting with the supernatural world. You have a line of communication. Perhaps you hear sounds, perhaps you have voices enter your head and you think, oh, okay, that's really strange. I don't know where that came from. Or you hear sounds, or you see lights, or you see images in front of you or in your mind. Tune into that. Hone into that. Don't ignore those things. Don't think that this is just me and I'm making stuff up. Be someone who is receptive to those thoughts and patterns and visions, because it's very clear that it's coming from a supernatural source and that these are messages that you should be receiving. Do not shut them out. Much like the gut feeling that we talked about, when there's something that enters your mind or gives you an impulse to think, oh, this is really strange, this doesn't feel like it's coming from me, this is new, this is novel, listen to it. Be receptive to it. Like that second scout to whom the supernatural, divine, feminine goddess spoke to. Be receptive of those messages. Open up to them, because I do believe that you are someone who might be clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient. You have those skills. And you should be tuning into that, not shutting it down. Write them down. I'm also hearing that you get visions in your dream. I feel like you are someone who gets visions and you get details and information through your dreams. So it might be a good idea to keep a dream journal. It might be a good idea to write those visions down, because these are things that aren't, they're not coincidental. You're not crazy. You're not someone who is, you shouldn't be shutting those feelings and thoughts out and down. Obviously, of course, if you are struggling with a mental illness or a disorder, that is one thing. And I do believe that when those things occur, there is definitely a difference between when you are receiving information from the divine or from the supernatural, from the spiritual, and when you are struggling and suffering with something. And of course, if you are suffering with something, seek professional care, seek medical care. But what I'm talking about is something else. It's those tingles, that gut feeling, those sounds, those images, those flashes of color and light, and all. Sorry about that, pile one. My memory card filled up and then everything decided to crash around me. So I don't know if Mercury is still in retrograde. Might have been one of those moments. But anyway, let's move on. I do have some more oracle cards, but like I was saying, before my memory card decided to fill up, you're definitely being divinely guided. And I'm definitely seeing that with this Council of Light card. I believe quite firmly, like I had mentioned, that you may be, your talent or skill might be receiving these messages from divine energy, divine beings, spirit guides, and perhaps right now you're not someone who quite believes in that. You might think this is all woo-woo, this is all nonsense, but the point is that you certainly are someone who is receiving messages. So like I had indicated, if you are hearing things or ideas or thoughts are coming into your mind that you think, well, this isn't just me thinking about something, this is just this idea that came into my mind and I feel like this urgency behind it, this gut feeling, follow that. You are being divinely guided. And like I said, again, you have this card, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. And the reason perhaps that you are someone who's a little bit more in tune with the spiritual, with the supernatural, is because you are much more deeply connected to it on some level. This could be through the fact that you may be an old soul, you may have been here for many, many lifetimes. Again, not everyone believes in that, not everyone really subscribes to that, but perhaps there is that facet of your being that makes you more receptive to this energetic information. And what I highly encourage you is to be receptive to it. If you are getting images in your dreams, if you are getting ideas and visions and you feel like this isn't just some random thing that's happening, you have a gut feeling, you're feeling inspired, follow that. That's not coming out of nowhere. That is part of the plan. And that could be why you're such a powerful manifester, is you are divinely guided. You have this additional layer of supernatural or spiritual support behind you. And I don't think it's coincidental. But I think also the other thing that I'm seeing for you quite clearly is there is a lot of love. There's a lot of peace. There is a lot of communal energy. You have with the Marguerite card, the card of the white buffalo calf woman, Council of Light, Anna, the grandmother of Jesus. Again, if you're not Christian and do not believe in that, that's completely fine. I certainly do not, but I do think that these messages in the cards are still valuable and valid, regardless of what your view is on those things. The point that I'm trying to say is I do think that you are someone that's also brought here not only to be a powerful manifester. I do get this really strong sense that you are a powerful manifester, but for not only yourself, but for the community that you inhabit, for your family, for your friends. And you're someone who is fearless and strong. And remember, like I had said with Marguerite, you have this fearless energy. You are divinely guided. You have an army, the Council of Light behind you. And I do believe that you're someone that is going to do great things, that's going to manifest amazing things. And you already have those natural talents built into you. So all you have to do is open up and receive and interpret and interact with those natural talents. Because the other cards I have for you are the cards for the energy of peace and warrior. Let me just zoom in quickly. As you can see, the energy of peace and warrior card here are once again an affirmation to me that you are someone that is going to bring abundance in a loving way, in a particular way to improve the lives of others, not only your own. I don't think, while there are all of these abundance cards here, they're not about improving just yourself. There's the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is someone who gives back to her community, who gives back to her children, who gives back to her family. Yes, she has abundance, but she's constantly giving. And that is why it's so easy for the universe to send more and more her way, because there isn't greed, there isn't attachment. There is definitely an energy of peace, an energy that wants to give back here as well. So I do believe that, again, like I had already mentioned with the Marguerite card, I think you're fearless, and I think you should be fearless. You are divinely supported, and your ideas may be uncommon, uncharacteristic, and the way that you approach life may not be the norm. It's not the norm. I'm hearing that you're a little bit of a black sheep in your family as well. I feel like you're someone who doesn't quite match the standard form. You are definitely a little bit different. I'm hearing that you grew up and people around you said, okay, yeah, she's a little bit odd. She doesn't quite fit in the way that she does. I keep saying she. I shouldn't say she. He or she, both, either you, the way that you do things are uncharacteristic. They're not typical of where you came from. They're not the standard in your family. You definitely stand out. Quite certainly you do. And I have the sense that all of these gifts and talents are so that you can inspire your community, bring abundance into your life, bring all of these things that which you need into your life, that you are divinely guided, that you are fearless, that you are going to reinvent old ideas and make them new and make them your own. And I certainly feel that for you. And I did forget at the beginning of this video to bring up the song that I picked for you. And the song that I picked for you is Honesty by Halsey. And it's quite interesting. I didn't even, when I picked the song, I usually pick the song before I shuffle the cards and pull the cards. But the song starts with, I had a vision and I watched it come alive. So I think, again, you are a powerful manifester. If you haven't yet started manifesting, if you haven't yet started sharpening your spiritual gifts, which I think you must have because you're watching this video, so there's certainly an interest and in this area, in these spiritual areas, and I do believe you should follow it because you are divinely guided. You do have natural skills and talents for it. You do have that which it takes to bring in abundance into your life, to bring in growth and prosperity into your life and into the lives of others. So if you haven't yet, you most certainly should. You are someone who is going to re-envision old ways of thinking into new ones. You're going to, if your family is very much in an old way of thinking, in an archaic way of thinking, and perhaps their ideas and thoughts aren't in alignment with yours, you have a way to reshape people's minds and change people's minds and do something new, while at the same time enhancing yourself and bringing prosperity into your own life. I do think that you're going to be someone that is quite prosperous. I do think that you're going to be someone who is financially stable, that has more than they need, so they give it back to the community, they give it back to the people, like this beautiful card here, which again is also about the community and people and reshaping, you know, hardships, because she brought people out of famine. She promised to deliver, and she did, at a time where there were difficulties and there were struggles. And I think that for you as well. I feel that strongly for you. So if you haven't already and you needed affirmation that you are a warrior, that this is something that you should be doing, that this is something that you should be exploring, absolutely you should. So I really hope you do. And thank you so much for watching Pile 1. I really appreciated having you here today. Have a wonderful day. Hello and welcome, Pile 2. You chose the rose quartz, and the rose quartz is a crystal for love, for positive feelings, for positive energy. It's a really wonderful crystal to bring in more positive thoughts about yourself, self-love. If you're someone that struggles with self-love, this is a wonderful crystal for that as well. It is quite universal. They're easy to find, and they're wonderful. They're kind of some of the more basic crystals that if you do collect crystals, if you are interested in them, it's a great one to have in your collection. So let's get into your reading. And like I said, this reading is about what your spiritual gifts are, what gifts you possess, and how they manifest in your daily life, in your day-to-day life. And perhaps you might not know what these gifts are, so I'm going to hopefully show you some of them today. The first card I have for you is Judgment. Now, Judgment, to me, it can mean a variety of things, but really what this card says to me is that there has been a rebirth. I'm going to hold it up here, especially on this. In this particular tarot, I think it's a little bit more obvious that this card is about rebirth. As you can see, you have this family. It's a bit grim. It does appear that they're at a funeral and they're all standing around, and in the little casket, there is sort of this skeleton jumping out, and there's color and confetti. And it's funny because I think that the theme of this deck, obviously, is this is a scene of birth. This is a scene of coming to life and awakening. So I do believe that you are someone who has either chosen to be reborn in this lifetime for a specific purpose. I believe you might be going through an awakening yourself. If you don't believe in reincarnation, you don't believe in that, you're going through awakening and a rebirth yourself right now. You're definitely exploring new ideas. You're exploring new ways of thinking. You're exploring all sorts of new ways of approaching spirituality, for example, and you're coming to your own, and this is definitely a beginning of a journey for you, and it's interesting. It's a great one. The other thing I have for you is the King of Wands. Now, the King of Wands is a natural leader, an entrepreneur, a visionary. As you can see in this card, if I zoom you in a little bit closer, he is pointing and he is directing into the distance. There is quite a bit of leadership with this card. He has a satchel full of, I believe, flowers, and he is about to go on his way. So one of the things, I think, one of the natural skills and abilities that you have, pile 2, is you're a natural born leader. And I have the Emperor, and the Emperor confirms that to me. The Emperor is a leader. The Emperor symbolizes authority, authoritative institutions, and really having that. It's also symbolizes a father figure, a male figure. But I think in your case, it quite strongly to me symbolizes that you're a natural born leader. You were born to lead. That is what I'm seeing from these cards. That is your natural skill and ability and talent and spiritual talent. I believe that you are meant to be a leader both in your work and professional life. Perhaps you're someone who is trying to become, the Emperor can symbolize a place of authority, an institution of authority. So perhaps you could be someone who is a government worker, or you're striving to be a government worker, a lawyer, a politician, but you are definitely born to be a natural leader, and that is your spiritual talent, pile 2. I feel that strongly. The other thing we have is the Two of Pentacles, and the Two of Pentacles is all about adaptability. It is all about balance. It is all, as you can see, this is quite a beautiful card. There's this mirroring images on their skulls. There's painted skulls. There is this reflective energy. And what I am hearing and sensing for you, going back to the leadership aspect, I think you're someone who is very, very adaptable. You're someone who can step into a setting and learn it quickly. You're someone who can pick up skills and talents quickly. You're someone who can enter a place that is unfamiliar and understand quite quickly what to do, what needs to be done, how to do it. So you are probably someone who picks up talents very quickly, who really is capable of interacting with diverse people easily. You are someone who is able to, like I said, the mirroring image here, what I got from seeing that is that you're someone who is able to connect with someone else simply and empathetically and understand people from different walks of life, which is why the sense that I'm getting from the cards is that you're meant to be, not only are you meant to be a leader, I believe the type of leader you're meant to be is a spiritual leader. That doesn't have to be the case for everyone, but I do believe that you're going to be doing work that is connecting with people. You're going to connect with communities. You're going to connect with a variety of diverse people. You're going to guide them, and you're going to do that wonderfully and skillfully because it comes naturally to you. Perhaps that's not very clear for you right now. Like I said, you have the rose quartz. Perhaps you struggle with self-love. Perhaps you doubt how you say, okay, you're telling me I'm a leader, but I'm anxious all the time and I'm socially anxious. That comes with time. You have to hone into it. Sometimes things don't flow in quite quickly, but once you start doing it, you will realize that you can do it well and you can do it expertly. So I do sense that you are someone who is definitely here to lead, is here to change things and to guide people. And I believe that you might be either already in a profession where that is occurring, or you're striving to be part of a profession where you have authority, but not in a negative way, not in a way that it is abusive, not in a way that it is about an abuse of power and a balance of power, because again, you have the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles is about balance. I think that the kind of leaders that you are going to be is one that is balanced, that is fair, that is equitable, that understands and empathizes with the people that they are leading, with the communities over whom they do have authority. And I think the reason why you are destined to be in this role and your skills are going to take you there is because there are so few people like you in positions of authority today. I think that's very apparent. There are so many people who abuse their power. There are so many people who do not speak on behalf of the people, but are there to just enhance their own lives, who want to cause problems for others, who want to be toxic and poisonous and competitive. That is not who you're going to be. You're going to be someone who is looked up to, who is celebrated, who's regarded with great respect. And this is a positive thing. So don't think, oh, I'm going to be a leader, authority, and it's going to be negative and bad. No, you are an authority figure the world needs. We have had enough authority figures who abuse their power. We have had enough institutions who need an entire overhaul because they're just chaotic and pointless and destructive. That is not who you're going to be. The other card I have for you is the Nine of Wands. Now, the Nine of Wands is all about putting in that effort. It's all about, in the Rider-Waite, it's depicted with by a man who is injured, and he's standing there, and he has this very large task ahead of him, and he's injured, but he is still performing that task. And that's what tells me that you're going to be a terrific leader. You can be someone who is in a position where you are suffering, but that doesn't matter because you have a task to do, you have a job to do, you have a community to lead, you have a spiritual practice to carry out, you have people who are depending on you, and it doesn't matter how uncomfortable you might feel. That does not make a difference, because you are going to be there to fight through your discomfort in order to achieve the greater good. That doesn't mean you're going to be uncomfortable all the time. That's not what that means. It just simply means that you are able to put mind over matter, and that you're going to do that. And like going back to what I said earlier, I might not feel like a leader. I might be struggling. I might be having a difficult time. I get anxious in public places. I get nervous speaking to people. Well, part of your natural gift is being able to set that aside and push forward, because what you have to offer is so much greater and so much more important than those doubts and fears. And that's what I feel for you sincerely. And these two cards confirm it. I have Unbound and Dance with Life. Let me just zoom in here for you, focus for you. So it says, do something to change your energy and releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Unbound. Like I said, I do believe that you are reborn here. I think you're an old soul. I think you have already existed in previous lifetimes, which is why you have this king energy, the emperor energy, which is a much more adult, sophisticated, grounded energy, authoritative energy. You are someone who people want to look up to and listen to. I do believe that you might have a past life, which is why this card came up, and that you're releasing yourself from it and entering into a new life, which is why I also feel that you are here to reshape old authoritative institutions and structures and make them brand new, and make them about balance, empathy, and inclusion and equity. I do believe that for you as well. And I do believe that the Dance with Life card, do something to change your energy. I do get a sense that some of you watching are saying to me, I don't feel like I am a leader. I don't understand what you're saying. I feel nervous. I feel anxious. I can't speak well. I can't articulate myself well. You need to change your energy, and you need to first accept that you're capable of these things and go out and do them. You hear stories all the time about people who tell their success stories and they say, I was completely terrified and nervous, and then I took that first step, and then I took the second step and the third, and with every step that I took, that got easier. Nobody becomes exceptional without a little bit of difficulty, without a little bit of heartache, without a little bit of struggle. And I do believe that you are someone who is fearless at your core, even though it might not be that clear right now. but you do have those skills, you do have those talents, and you are meant to be a leader above all. Now, I have 2 other cards for you as well. I have Teresa and Hestia. I'm probably saying that wrong, so do forgive me. I'm going to zoom in here for you. Now, the goddess of sanctuary, she is a Greek goddess of sanctuary, and the way that she is described as this wonderful, warm, grandmother-y energy. And like I said, you have a lot of, it's, how do I articulate this? A lot of more mature energy in these cards. You have kings, you have the goddess of sanctuary, who is known to be a little bit more older, a little bit more mature, but brimming with light and brimming with warmth. And what I'm feeling for you is that you are someone who is warm, who is light, full of light. And when I think of a leader, when I say that you're going to be someone that's going to lead from a place of empathy, a place of compassion, a place of true understanding, this is precisely the card that symbolizes that. There is that warmth, that kindness, that softness. It doesn't matter whether you're a boy or a girl, male or female, or any other identity. The point is that you're going to have that warmth the way that, you know, your grandmother or grandfather had that warmth and that kindness. And while they were in positions of authority, if you think of your grandparents, they're in a position of authority over you. They're definitely people who can exercise that authority over you, but they come from a place of love and they come from a place of understanding. So the card says, no matter where I am home. The most sacred sanctuary is found within me. And I do believe that that is a representation of who you are meant to be as a leader. You're meant to be warm, receptive, remind people of home, remind people of community, and ground and plant roots in a place that is going to be fulfilling, uplifting, and not negative. And like I said, I do see you re-envisioning and reimagining old structures that no longer serve us, and doing it in a manner that is going to reshape those old structures. You also have Saint Teresa, Our Lady of the Interior Life. Again, I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real. And I believe, again, this is just a confirmation from another perspective that Teresa was a visionary. She had visions. She had, she was divinely guided. And I mean, you may not be Christian, you might not subscribe to that faith, but nonetheless, what this card symbolizes is it's what you need is already in you. What you need is being, you're being guided through your efforts, through your work, and even through your fears, and even through your anxieties. What is being stated here very clearly is that the answers you need are within you, and you have this innate knack for warmth, for light, for love, and you're going to lead from those places. You're not going to come from a greedy place. You're not going to be someone who's going to occupy a place of authority or a place where your voice and input is important and valuable and capitalize on it. You're not going to go out and seek out vengeance or harm or reprisal against someone. That you're going to be someone who tries to rehabilitate, empathize, understand, fix, repair, and rebuild things that have been, have not served us thus far. And again, I have the spirit fox that's telling you to trust your talents in these changing times. Like I said, I do feel like some of you are listening to this and going like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about because I am anxious, I am nervous, I don't know what I'm doing. You might be younger. I'm hearing that some of you are younger and you're not quite here yet. You're not quite at this place of the emperor energy. You're not at the place of the goddess of the sanctuary, this mature, evolved place, but you absolutely will be. I'm seeing this fox, and to me it looks like a young fox, and what it's reminding you to do is to trust your talents. Trust that you have gifts that have been given to you by the divine that will then evolve and grow, and you will become a leader. You will be someone to whom people look up to. You will be if you're setting out to do something, you know, if you want to be a lawyer, a politician, you want to create laws, you want to make reforms, and you want to be someone that captures people's attention and they listen to you, that's going to happen even though you might not feel that way yet. And I feel the other card is the she-wolf. And like I said, you don't have to be a boy, or you don't have to be a girl or a boy or anything, or identify as anybody else. The point is, the she-wolf is asking you to unleash the wild within. You might have been very conservative. You might be someone who feels self-doubt. You might be someone who feels negatively. And I am getting that sense. I don't feel like from this pile that you picked it because you are already a natural born leader and you are the emperor and you are someone who is going to use love and empathy to change the world. I feel like you're someone who needs to be told right now to unleash the wild within, to start breaking down the barriers that you set for yourself. Because a lot of the time, the barriers in our minds that are telling us, the voices in our head that are negative, those are imaginary. Those are bogus. They don't actually mean anything. The voices in our head that tell us that, you know, nobody wants to listen to you, your ideas are stupid, or you don't have what it takes to be a lawyer. No, you're not going to be, you know, a lawyer. No, you're not going to be a successful activist who changes the ways that have, you know, failed us so far. All of that is nonsense. You have to set that aside and you have to be a little bit more free, a little bit more wild, and break down those barriers that you have built for yourself in your mind. I do feel that a lot of you are not unbound. A lot of you are tied down. A lot of you aren't capable of dancing with life because you have all of these inbuilt negative thoughts that are oppressing you. You have to start from a place of self-love and grow and knock down those walls. I'm hearing that if something makes you uncomfortable, if something scares you, you should do it. Just do it. If something is causing you fear or reservation or making you think, oh my God, like I wanna, you know, for example, I'm hearing public speaking. I'm hearing that for some of you, there's a public speaking opportunity that has come up and you've shot it down because you think that, you know, you're not going to be good enough or you're not going to be successful in public speaking. Do it. If it scares you, that's more reason to do it. If something makes you feel anxious, fearful, that is more reason to do it. I'm hearing that for some of you, you want to sing and you are too nervous to sing in public. But the thing is that you have a beautiful voice and the world should hear it. And through that, through those efforts and through those steps, you're going to push and bring down the walls that you have built around yourself. Maybe you haven't built them around yourself. Maybe other people have built them around you. I don't want to blame you for everything. You're not responsible for it. Sometimes we start from a place of innocence and people tear us down and people say bad things about us. I'm hearing that some of you were bullied. I'm hearing that some of you were made fun of when you were young, and I'm hearing some of you were even, you know, knocked around on the playground and pushed around and treated like you're nothing. The point is, try to forget all of that, because those people, they don't mean anything. They're not important. You should not allow room in your heart, in your mind, for negative thoughts, for negative people, and for people who are going to be destructive rather than uplifting. And I am getting a great sense that some of you, these are your gifts, these are your talents, these are the cards that I have selected for you. This is the pile you picked. Whether you like it or not, you are a natural born leader. You are going to change things. You're going to cut down, like here, I didn't even notice this, but on the 9 of Wands, she's cutting down, you know, this foliage. And the thing is that I sincerely think that you are someone who is going to reshape old authoritative structures and make them brand new. But you are being held back by your own thoughts, your own negative belief systems, or the things other people are saying. I'm hearing that some of you have met family members that are unkind to you. I'm hearing some of you have past relationships with people who have been cruel to you and put you down, and you've talked about something that you want to achieve and they said, hey, you're not going to achieve it, whatever. I mean, to put it bluntly, I'm not going to swear. I want to swear because I'm so pissed off because I'm seeing this in your cards and I feel angry for you. Those people do not matter. Those people aren't worth the space in your mind. push them out, ignore them. If anyone is nasty to you, cut them out. You do not need any of that because you have such a wonderful, bright future ahead of you, and you have such an important task here. And again, you might not believe in reincarnation, but I do believe that you were born to go through this process, go through this cycle, and then enter into a place where you are going to enact wonderful change from an empathetic, equitable, and guided perspective. And I'm very excited for you, Pile 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. You chose the amethyst. This is an incredible crystal. This is a crystal that's all about tranquility, neutralizing feelings of anxiety, of stress, of rage, of unpleasant feelings that you may wish to remove from yourself. As well, it's a beautiful crystal for awakening psychic abilities, for honing in on your own psychic skill, for getting in touch with your psychic abilities. So this is a very beautiful crystal. Let's get into your reading. And like I had mentioned, the reading today is going to deal with what are your natural skills and abilities, and what do you need to know about those natural skills? How might they be manifesting in your life so far, or how will they manifest in your life once you tune into them and hone into them? I'm so sorry, there might be some noise. I have neighbors that are stomping around, and it just seems like today is a very, very noisy day. A lot of people are home today, so everyone is making tons of noise, but let's get into it. So the first card I have for you is the Knight of Swords. Now, this is a very action-oriented card. This is an intellectual card. This shows to me that you are someone who is very, very, very smart, who is very, very intuitive, who is very, very, very cutting. You have a wit about you. I'm hearing that you're really funny. I'm hearing that people call you, I'm hearing that you have a way of crafting very witty jokes and very witty retorts, that you're very fun to talk to. You're a great conversationalist, that you draw people in. And I feel that you are someone that has quite a sharp intellect. You are someone who reads a lot. You are someone who's constantly learning. You're learning about different topics. You're really quick to pick up different topics and then engage with people on different levels. You're someone who is you have an encyclopedia knowledge. You know things that are random, that are kind of like, you know, unexpected for you to know. Sometimes people will be talking about something and you have just a wealth of knowledge about it. I get that sense from you. Absolutely. The next card I have is the Six of Swords. Now, this card is all about moving out of, you know, it's about transition from one place to another. And the place that you're transitioning from is usually a negative place, a bad place. And it's all about being guided from that negative place to a new place, a more positive space, and moving away from something. I'm getting a sense that you are on this journey already. I have a feeling that some of you may have, you know, unfortunately, and I do empathize with this because I'm in the same boat, bad childhoods, that you went through a lot of trauma when you were young, and that you had to pull yourself out of it, and you did this almost alone, and you had to remove yourself from a bad situation in a bad place to a place of healing. But I do feel that I have the Three of Swords, and that confirms it. I do feel that you are someone who, at a time in your life, went through a considerable amount of struggle. I'm hearing that you were very misunderstood. I'm hearing that in your life, you had a lot of difficulties, a lot of strife. I forgot to tell Pile 2 their song, but it is in the description below. But for Pile 3, for you guys, I have Old Wounds by the band PVRIS. I really, really encourage you to listen to it. It's an incredible song. The music video is stunning, and the band PVRIS I'm just obsessed with. And the song goes, they say, don't open old wounds, but I'm going to. So I feel like you're someone who does come from a very wounded place. It could be a bad childhood. It could have been a bad relationship or a streak of bad relationships, but you are now moving away from it, and you're moving away from it expertly. And I have a lot of negative cards for you, unfortunately, and I think the next card I have for you is the Eight of Swords, and this is actually a really beautiful card, so I'm going to zoom you in on it a little bit because I want you to see the images on this card. Now, this card is all about, heartbreak, devastation, being immobilized, being unable to move, being kind of in the Rider-Waite. It's a really nasty card because it's all about feeling defeated. And here in this particular deck, which is why I love this deck so much, it kind of looks like the opposite. They're holding up swords, and you see in the background here there's this dark energy, this dark entity, this skull. And instead of how this card is traditionally depicted, it is depicted almost in the reverse, in a more brighter way, which is to say they are standing up to their demons and they're cutting through their demons. You can see that these people are all gathered here to cut at this entity here, this really negative, ugly force. And what I'm hearing for you, pile number 3, is that you are someone who is going to use your old wounds to reshape not only your life but the lives of others. I do feel that you came from a very dark place, and I'm sincerely sorry. Like I said, I empathize with that. I hear that some of you have come from a bad childhood. Some of you have been in a series of bad relationships, or you have had other really awful things happen to you, but you're reclaiming that and you're reshaping that into something positive. You are now standing up to your demons, so to speak. You're now standing up to the things that have been oppressing you. You are now standing up to that negative energy, and you're fighting back against it, which is why I really love the way the Eight of Swords is depicted in this particular deck. It's not about being defeated under all of that negative energy, and instead it's about fighting back against it, tackling it, facing it, and waging war against that nastiness that you experienced, and moving away from it, as is depicted in the Six of Swords. That is what your natural skill is. You have the capacity to transform something that is bad, that is dark, into something light, into something bright, into something that is very much going to become a positive. And you have that ability to face your demons, to face your oppressor, to face that which happened to you that was dark, which was not unkind, and defeat it, tackle it head on, and transform and reclaim your identity, reclaim your space, reclaim your boundaries, reclaim that which has been taken from you in a fierce, bold way. And I think this confirms it. I have the Knight of Cups, and this is confirmation to me, because the Knight of Cups, like the Knight of Swords, so you have the Knight of Swords, which is a knight of action, and the Knight of Cups is a knight of emotion, passion, love. This card symbolizes the beginnings of all of those wonderful, emotionally guided things. And what I'm seeing for you is that, like I said earlier, I think you're very funny. I think you're quite witty. I think you're quite intelligent. And I think that comes from that place of pain. I do believe that you used humor to heal yourself. I do believe you use humor as a bit of a defense mechanism. I do believe that you are someone who has, an innate knack for self-deprecating humor. I'm hearing that you're inclined to kind of make fun of yourself, to joke about it, to say, to be kind of uncouth in a way, but in such a positive way. And I think these two knights, the fact that all of these dark cards are sandwiched between the Knight of Action and the Knight of Emotion and the Knight of Passion and the Knight of Love, is because you are someone who is going to tackle all of this garbage, all of this nastiness, with both intellect and emotion and love. And that is your natural talent, pile 3. That is what you're going to do. You are someone who's going to recreate your pain into something bright, into something beautiful. And that is what I feel for you very, very strongly. The other thing I have here is that so I have 2 cards here, 2 Divine Feminine cards here. I have the Mystic of Peace and the Divine Mother. The Mystic of Peace says, I am peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. The Divine Mother says, unconditional love exists within me. The presence of love is the absence of judgment. So what I'm getting from these cards is that, number one, for this particular card, and I don't want to pronounce her name because I really don't want to disrespect her by mispronouncing her name, but she was a poet. She was a visionary. She is someone who used writing to inspire and transformed her visions into writing. I feel like that's another gift you have. I think you're both funny, intellectual, but I also feel that perhaps you are a writer. Perhaps you write poems and you transform your pain into poetry, into art, into your work, into the work that is meaningful to you. I get that sense. And the Divine Mother is all about seeing. So the way that it is put is that when you sense negative qualities in someone and you feel there's something about someone that irritates you or angers you, it is because you are projecting your own insecurities, your own vices, your own perceptions of the world onto them. And you're failing to empathize, and you're failing to see how you yourself are a manifestation of that person. So really what I'm getting here for you is that what this card tells me is that for a long time, group number 3, you used to lash out at people. You used to get mad and frustrated with people because of this pain in your childhood, because of the suffering that you had, because of all of the struggles that you have been through. You used to lash out, not realizing that the people you might have been lashing out on or lashing out upon carry qualities that you yourself have and you yourself have internalized. And the thing that you need to remember, and I think that you are definitely starting to open up to this and starting to get better and practice better self-control. Perhaps you have sought help, perhaps you have sought therapy and guidance, but you're starting to recognize these patterns in you as patterns that evolved and emerged because of the negative experiences in your life. And now what the universe is asking for, what the divine is asking for you, is to look inside of yourself and see, what is it about me that I need to change? Why, when you meet a person and they rub you the wrong way, or something about you irritates them, or you feel jealous of them, or you feel, like you want to say something nasty about them, ask yourself, where is that coming from? Is it coming from you? Is it coming from them because they are doing something, or is it me projecting upon them? And what I'm hearing quite sincerely is that you are someone that has the capacity for unconditional love, but because of your childhood, your past, the difficulties that you've been put through, the difficulties you're probably still going through, if they are not in your past, you might have moments where you lash out and you don't quite understand why, and you struggle to get to know people. You might be judgmental, you might have been judgmental, but I do believe that you're going to move out of that. And you're going to understand the problem as being rooted in unfairness and injustice inflicted upon you, that this is not your fault. This is not something that you did wrong. This is not something that you deserved. But because of the way that sometimes our brains work when we grow up in these nasty, negative environments, is we build up boundaries and we build up ways to protect ourselves. And sometimes we meet someone and they rub us the wrong way, not because they really are bad people or not because there's anything wrong with them, but because we are pushing people away in an effort to preserve ourselves. So, for example, if you might have met someone who, is threatening to you because they seem, they're so beautiful and so charismatic and so funny and so wonderful, and that's threatening to you, and you don't understand why. The reason isn't you. The reason is the way that you experience trauma, the way that you experience pain, and you're just trying to build up these boundaries around you. So take a moment and reflect on those things, because you are in the process of transforming your pain into a positive thing. And that's not an easy process to embark on, pile 3. So I really do empathize with you. You are going through a very difficult process. Moving away from trauma to a place where that trauma can be meaningful is a very difficult, painful process to embark on. And you're doing a wonderful job, because that is precisely what I'm seeing for you. And you will have setbacks, you will have difficulties, you will have to look into yourself and say, unconditional love exists within me. The presence of love is the absence of judgment. So the second that you stop building these walls around you, the second that you stop trying to protect yourself, because I'm hearing that there were so many times that you weren't protected. And I'm sorry to hear that. I'm hearing sincerely that there were times when you needed protection from an adult, or protection from someone who should have been there for you and they weren't. And that is why you have distrust. And that is why you struggle with establishing healthy relationships with people. But that is because you're in the process of transforming your pain into something positive. And I do believe you're going to do this through comedy, through writing, through art, through music, through, writing screenplays. I do believe you're going to transform that pain into art, but there's definitely a difficulty with boundaries and the way that you see and interpret people as threatening when they might not be. And of course, if someone is causing you harm, then, all bets are off, kick them out of your life, say goodbye, there's no room for them there. But there are those people who genuinely want to get to know you, and you're pushing them away because of these boundaries that you've created for yourself. So do take a second to reflect on that. And eventually, gradually, you will move away from that place into a place where you are able to love unconditionally, that you are able to love without judgment. It's difficult sometimes when you come from a place of pain. And like I said, the song that I picked for you is Old Wounds. And I feel that opening up those wounds and dealing with them and repairing them and healing them is a difficult process. So be patient with yourself. I'm hearing you need to be patient with yourself, because this is going to be a rocky journey, but it is one that you're going to be successful at if you keep at it. And I do believe you have much support because of it. I also have Medicine Guardian and Mountains. So the Medicine Guardian is a healer, open to healing information. Like I have been saying for you, you are in the process of healing so that you can heal others. Now, this could be healing others through your art. This could be healing others through your poetry. This is going to be healing others through something that you create and put out into the world. And Mountains, stand your ground. You have to establish healthy boundaries. You still have to stand your ground. You still have to protect yourself from negative people, from people that don't serve you, from people who bring you down. But ultimately, the thing that you need to remember is that you're on a healing process, and you are changing, and you are evolving from a place of trauma, from a place of pain. You do need to keep healthy boundaries, but they have to be healthy. You shouldn't be lashing out at people. You shouldn't be judging people. But it is a process, it is a painful one, and you are on a healing journey, and it's certainly apt and fitting that you are on a healing journey given all of this swords energy present here. This is just going to be a difficult path, but it is one that is divinely guided. So we have Sisterhood of the Rose and Akasha here. I'm going to zoom you in so that you can see, or rather focus you. You are being guided on this journey. The other thing I'm hearing, like I said, Sisterhood of the Rose, it says beauty and devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. I feel that that is what you are ultimately going to do. Like I said, you're going to transform your pain, you're going to transform your trauma, you're going to transform the difficulties that you have experienced and the wounds inflicted upon you into a positive thing. I think that you're going to be a teacher. I think you're going to be someone who creates art, creates a system through which others can heal themselves. You're going to put out something into the world, or perhaps you're going to be a counselor, perhaps you're going to be a teacher, perhaps you're going to be someone who reforms, laws, and that were responsible for what happened to you in a way, and form new laws that are going to be protective of those that need the most protection. If you are someone who suffered as a child, perhaps you're going to be someone that goes out and changes child protection laws. If you are someone who was taken advantage of, you're going to be someone that changes the laws so that the people who hurt you and those who hurt others in the same way are persecuted. And, persecuted and prosecuted both need to happen, and you're going to be the one that is going to make that occur. Either you're going to do that through your art, either you're going to do that practically and tangibly and do it through reform, and do it through action, or both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do both. You can be an artist, you can be a poet, you could be a musician, you could be a comedian, you can be someone who writes for, writes shows, creates movies, and at the same time is an activist and uses their voice to change things. Both are possible, but I think at the center of this reading is the fact that you are in the process of transforming old wounds, old pain, and creating something new and establishing a way to heal yourself. And I do believe that you are someone that's going to be a healer, either through art or action or both. And I'm very excited for you. I do apologize for what you have gone through. I do apologize for any harm that had come to you and any suffering that had been imposed upon you, but you're going to transform that pain into something beautiful. You're going to change the lives of others. You're going to ensure that what happened never happens again, and you're going to create a path for people to heal and to grow and to move past what had occurred to them and what had been done to them. And I do think that you are someone that's going to be quite successful at that, and I'm very excited for you, pile 3. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.